Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are listening to this, welcome to the Local Women Accountancy Podcast. Yes, you heard it right, accountancy. So I am your host, Joanna Denton, and I'm delighted to be here with my guest today, Joanne McCann from the House of Accountancy. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm so excited to be here and can't wait to hopefully share some useful tips with you and obviously the listeners. And yes, so happy to be here.
Brilliant. Well, listen, so how this is going to work is we have got a couple of emails in from listeners with questions about accountancy, and I'm going to post them to Joanne. So let's kick off with today's question,
Okay.
which is this. And so this has come in from Emma.
Emma. Okay. Hi, Emma.
So what she says is this. I've started earning money from freelance graphic design work, and everyone keeps telling me different things about tax returns, self-assessment, registering my business. What's the first thing I should do so I don't get into trouble? Thanks a lot, Emma.
Okay. Well, first of all, Emma and any listeners in the same boat, you're not in trouble. We get these questions all of the time. Emma is not the only one in this position. There are hundreds of others, no doubt. And yes, so first of all, no, you're not in trouble, and there are steps that you can take to obviously get you in the right position. So I think when you start up a business and you start chatting to other people and friends and family, automatically become experts in the finance
Oh my goodness me,
industry.
absolutely. Everyone has something to say, don't they?
Everybody has something to say, and it puts the fear in business owners or people starting out that you need to register for self-assessment, you need to open your company, you need to go VAT registered, and then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed and you start to panic. And
so then let's take the overwhelm out. Let's just kind of break it down a little bit. She talks about registering my business.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Okay, so basically what that means is you notify HMRC that you're starting to make income for yourself. So you register with HMRC, you let them know that this is the case, and then once you've done that, then you register for what's called self-assessment.
Okay.
So self-assessment is where you obviously notify HMRC of your income and your expenditure, and you put that in what's called your tax return, and then that automatically then goes to HMRC and that determines your tax bill. Now, people say then, oh, you need to open a limited company, you need to do this. That's not necessarily always the case, okay? So
Okay, I think we're getting a bit complicated there, talking about limited companies and so on.
Okay,
Let's just go back to basics. So registering for self-assessment. So first of all, you talked about HMRC. So that's the
Yes.
same people that are taking money out of your salary when you're earning it, isn't
Yes.
it? So basically, it's the same people that you have to kind of tell are earning this different type of income.
Well, that's the thing, when you're starting out business for the first time, if you've worked previously and you get deducted, you get paid by an employer, the tax comes out automatically.
Absolutely.
The remaining balance goes into your bank. No different, okay? But when you set up a business yourself, you're now responsible for that.
Right.
So that's where, the confusion is. And we've all been there, or most of us have been there where, we've been employed and our employer takes care of all of that for us.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to worry about it.
So this is this idea of self-assessment. You're assessing yourself.
You're assessing yourself. And
Right.
that's up to you to report that to HMRC,
Okay.
no one else.
Okay.
So that is what this is about. So
is this anybody that's making any kind of sideline, or is there a kind of de minimis threshold that they need to do it from?
Okay, so once you start to earn over £1,000, so that's what business owners need to understand is the different terminology that falls into play with all of this, obviously. So you have what's called your turnover, and that is your income coming into the business starting point.
So she's doing graphic design. So I imagine what is happening is, let's imagine that she's designing a website. Would that be graphic design? Yes, let's say it is.
Okay.
So someone comes to us. Our dear producer Robin comes to us and says comes to Emma, says he wants a website done, and it wants the graphic design done for it. So Emma's going to produce something, and then she's going to send him an invoice.
So so that's what for her service.
Right.
She'll send Robin the invoice.
So she charges him 1,000.
Correct. Okay.
So that's her turnover.
That's
1,000.
her turnover. That's the top line. Okay.
Right.
So not factoring in any sort of expenses or what it cost Emma to be able to provide that service. That's not coming into play here.
Okay.
That's your top line. Okay. So once the likes of Emma or somebody else exceeds that 1,000 turnover, you then have to register with HMRC as self-employed or sole trader, or
Okay.
you know, and file a self-assessment.
Okay, so Emma then writes to HMRC, or she fills a form in, or how does she do that?
So there's a few ways of doing it. I suppose the most straightforward way of doing it is registering online.
Okay.
Okay, so you log in, you Google simply Government Gateway, and you register, you put in all your information, put in as much information as you can, and then within, say, 3 to 4 weeks, HMRC will then issue you out a letter, more or less saying you're registered for self-assessment.
Okay.
And it's so straightforward. You know?
And then what does she have to do after that in terms of keeping track of, because I mean, if Robin's the only client, then fine, but if she's got a bunch of different clients, then does she, what information does she need to keep about them?
This is one thing I will say to the likes of Emma and other people in her shoes is regular reporting. Whether that's through software, whether that's through an Excel spreadsheet, whether that's a notebook, whatever that might be, jot everything down. All your income coming in, all your expenses going out, just make note of it. Not because HMRC are telling you to do it, not because us accountants love all these reports, but the likes of future Emma and all the people out there will appreciate it.
Sure.
You know, see this thing of, okay, the end of the tax year, I'll get all the information then, and I will provide it. At that stage, that becomes really difficult, and you start to forget things, and it makes for mistakes. Whereas what I would say to Emma and the others is, jot it down. Put it. You've sent out an invoice, or you've paid for something. Put it down on a spreadsheet, wherever that might be, and just make a note of it so that you can keep on track. Keeping on track is so important when it comes to the likes of 100%, and I cannot stress that enough.
So if we could, if we think about what Emma is, she's come, she said she's got all of this information and people telling her things. Let's just give her one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing that she could do straight away to get a grip on whether, because we don't even know how much she's earning, So what would be one thing that she could do very concretely just to work out, does she need to register or not?
Well, yeah, I think Emma should just take a bit of time out and jot down all her income. That's the first step. Definitely jotting that down to see if she has exceeded that £1,000 turnover.
Okay, so you say jot down, so where's she going to do that?
Anywhere, I suppose.
Like a spreadsheet?
Spreadsheet would be or if she's busy or she's out and about and the thought comes into her head, put it down in a notebook or
on the phone.
Or on the phone, exactly.
Fantastic.
Anywhere at all that you know that you can go back and look at.
Brilliant.
We're always in situations where something does pop into our head and we think, I'll sort that later. And sometimes later we don't, and we've forgotten about it. If it comes into your head, pop it down.
So, I mean, when you say turnover, you mean we just write down Robin 1,000, or is there nothing more than that?
Yeah,
we don't need his address. We don't need
nothing like that for
we
now.
don't need what we've done.
You don't need to complicate it for herself. So she invoices Robin 1,000. She makes a note of that. She invoices customer number 2 1,000. Okay, and she makes that wee note, and then we realise, right, she's exceeded the £1,000 turnover. What's her next step?
And that time, what's the time period for that 1,000?
Within 12 months.
Okay,
so it's
So if she just did something for Robin today,
as a one-off, and it's less than £1,000, she doesn't need to worry. She doesn't need to declare it.
Okay, no, fantastic.
So it's just determining that, and yes, there's loads of different ways of doing it. Spreadsheet, jotting it down on your phone. Okay. If you want to be real complex, put it on not complex, but if you want to put it on a piece of software, put it on a piece of software. It's
but
whatever.
Maybe if it's just early days.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing really is just get in front of your figures.
Correct.
Understand what what you're looking at, and then you can make a decision.
Exactly.
If anyone wants to get to know you and kind of meet you and talk to you a bit more, tell us a bit about the House of Accountancy.
Okay, so here at the House of Accountancy, we help business owners, we help sole traders, we help anybody that needs financial help. That's what we're here for. A lot of accountancy practices can be really daunting, and people hear all that jargon and it gets scary. That's not what we're about. We like clients to come into our office, or not necessarily in our office, whatever means they want, chat to us by the phone, whatever that might be. And we provide that welcoming, service. And that's the main thing. And we put you at ease. And,
You've got a dog.
And we have a dog. Yes, we have Bo, the bookkeeper. And, he is, I'm not going to lie, he's my favourite staff member, without a shadow of a doubt. But we genuinely care about our clients. We really do. We treat the business like it's our own.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's what you need. I think that's particularly for people like Emma who are starting off in this way and they don't know where to go. So if Emma or anyone else wants to get hold of you, how do they do that?
So whatever is handiest, I suppose. You can go to our website, www.thehouseofaccountancy.com, or you can send me an email to Joanne at thehouseofaccountancy.com.
Brilliant. We'll put those details into the notes and we'll put it on the screen on the YouTube version. So brilliant. Well, listen, we're going to close up right now. So first of all, Joanne, thank you so much for answering Emma's question. I think what I'm coming away with is very clearly the first thing Emma needs to do, or anyone in that situation needs to do, is just get very clear on the numbers, rather than just panic and think, oh my God, what do I need to do? Actually take a moment, take a breath, note down what income you've had so far and what costs are, and just get that overview picture so you can take a position as to whether you've gone over the threshold of 1,000. If you've gone over the threshold of 1,000 in a 12-month period, then you may need to talk to HMRC, do that online, register for self-assessment. Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, it just remains for me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this. This has been the Local Women Accountancy Podcast. I have been Joanna Denton. This has been Joanne McCann. Ta-ra then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.